nativity and the resurrection, which summarize the story of salvation. But today, God willing, I want to contemplate with you on this verse that was uttered by Saint Mary. After she received the angel and he told her all these things that are going to happen to her, she said, "Behold, I am the maidservant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." So today, we want to talk a little bit about one of the cornerstones of Christianity, and that is living a life of submission. Living a life of submission. As was explained to us here by the life of Saint Mary. This word is strange in our society, especially in the West. Everything around us teaches us and teaches our children to not submit to anything. You be your own man. Don't tell me what to do. So we want to contemplate a little bit about what it is to live a life of submission. And as we talk about it today, we want to compare it and contrast it, because there is another life that is often confused with a life of submission. And we want to compare this to a life of surrender. A life of submission is not a life of surrender. When people hear us say, live a life of submission, they might think you mean a life of surrender. That's not what is meant. Surrender comes from fear. If you are afraid of what's going to happen when you step outside your door, you surrender. Submission comes from strength. A soldier submits to his general. But that doesn't mean he goes home and sits on the couch and waits for the war to be won. He is still a soldier, but he lives a life of submission to the general. He's not weak, he's not lazy, he has not surrendered. But his life can be characterized by one word: submission. Surrender comes from ignorance. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to fix things. I don't know what the problem is. Therefore, I surrender. And I blame God. I'm just going to leave it for God. And I'm just going to go home, sit on the couch, have some tea, maybe take a nap. By living a life of surrender, I am staying God's hand from helping me. Because if God helps someone who surrendered, he might be confused into thinking he's doing the right thing. But look at what Saint Mary did. She listened to all of this and said one word: I am the maidservant of the Lord. And then what did she do the next morning, if you continue on in the gospel? She woke up like she was going to do anyway. She packed like she was going to do anyway, and she went to Elizabeth to serve her because Elizabeth was pregnant. She didn't surrender. She didn't say, okay, I am now just going to sit here and wait for this baby to be born. But she did submit. That didn't change who she is. Submission comes from strength. It takes a lot of strength to submit. Submission comes from courage. Courage to know that someone else is in control, but you still do your job. It takes a lot of courage to do a good job not knowing what the end will be. That takes courage, and it takes effort. When we say live a life of submission, we don't mean surrender. We don't mean surrender your will, or surrender your effort, or surrender your brain. God gave you all of these things so we can be strong and we can be like soldiers and we can have courage. We use these things to develop courage. Courage in the capability, courage in the faith of the capability of our general. His Holiness Pope Shenouda, may God repose his soul. One time he was asked about this in one of his Wednesday lectures. Someone asked him about the verse that says that the potter can take pottery and make a vessel of honor and a vessel of dishonor. And the question seemed to indicate surrender. This person was asking, said, how do I know if I'm going to be a vessel of honor or dishonor? And Pope Shenouda, his answer was very wise. Of course, we know this about him. He said, the answer is twofold. Number one, trust the potter. Trust the potter to know what type of clay he is dealing with. If this is good clay, he's not going to use it to make a vessel of dishonor. If this is good clay, he knows, he can tell, and he's going to make it a vessel of honor. But also, do your job and become good clay. This is the life of submission. Do your job to become good clay and trust the potter to turn this into a vessel of honor. May God give us the wisdom to learn this difference and to live a life, follow the example of Saint Mary, who lived a life of submission, not of surrender. And glory be to God forever. Amen.